Gus.
I see.
He's like, I've been having fun all weekend. You ready? What are we doing, Jen?
You know what? I want a shorter bob.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're in charge.
I love that.
Never led me astray.
There was one time when I cut your hair short. It wasn't the haircut you exactly wanted. It was the haircut that I wanted on you, but you didn't love it. Don't worry, we're not going into a pixie. Face shape wise, we take it up like almost like right below the chin.
Which I love.
Yeah.
My whole face looks different. Changes like, you can see my neck. That was my favorite part when you cut off my hair. I was like, look.
You already have like your texture in it too, which I love. I love the hair color with it. Bleach always makes it better for me.
Makes it more fun.
Yeah, we'll give you a little bit of a face frame to open this up, but also make it so it's fuller, because this is like your weaker area right here. Layer it throughout, but like leaving this longer, keeping this fuller. So you have that illusion of movement, but it doesn't take away from the fullness in the front, because your fullness is really back here. Here we go. All right, so with Jen's haircut today, what we're gonna do is take it up 2 inches, nice blunt line. We're gonna go square, and then we're gonna add some movement going from shorter but longer in the front, so it doesn't take away from it, because she has more hair back here and less in the front. Symmetry wise, it's not balanced. We're gonna also do a face frame, which will add some movement and open her up around the face, which will be fun. Super simple haircut, and it'll grow out nice, and it'll be fun. It'll be a good, fun haircut.
That sounds perfect.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. With sectioning, it's super simple. 3 sections, 2 in the front, 1 in the back. I do this with most haircuts, long and shorter, unless I'm going to a pixie. That's a whole different way of sectioning. And then I do horizontal sections all the way up on all sides. This is my way. There's no right or wrong. If you section in a different way, I love that for you. And if it's more comfortable for you, keep it that way. I don't ever want to tell you you're doing the wrong thing. I took things from all different people. For me, it's about simplicity. ABCs makes it a lot easier with hair cutting nowadays. Education sometimes is very complicated, and it makes us overthink. If we can just break it down into a simple way of doing it, it makes it that much easier, and it makes you that much more efficient with cutting hair, especially when you're in the salon and you're doing clients. And once you overcomplicate things, all of a sudden you're like, where am I at? The client feels it. It's just an uncomfortable feeling, and you don't want that. So I want you to see how I do it and the why of why I do it. I can show you how to do it and you can do it, but if you don't know why I'm doing it, that's your biggest problem. That's how I learned, was trial and error. I would watch. I never had anybody just show me education wise. I always just cut and saw, oh, that's how that fell. I would watch the person I was working for. I would do the cut and I would be like, oh, okay, that's why you do it like that. But it was a lot of practice. So I'm gonna show you guys the how and the why. It'll help you a lot. And if it doesn't, sorry. Head down just a bit. You're gonna take a horizontal section. I like a nice clean line when you're sectioning. Make sure too that you comb everything down. So look over here. See how she has this little bit of a calic right there that kind of jumps up? That little wave pattern right in there. Make sure you comb all that out. Get this all nice and straight to the neck. Make sure the hair is damp. It'll make it a lot easier for you. Me personally, like I love cutting wet, and then the detail goes in when I'm drying the hair. Be careful though, when you're cutting wet, it tends to pop up more. So always give a little bit when you're cutting the length. If you're going chin, don't hit chin, go a little bit below the chin. It does make it a little bit more of a challenge, but this is the way that I feel more comfortable with. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the comb and I'm just gonna look at like where I'm gonna cut, right? So I said a little bit below the chin. So I'm gonna go like right in there because I want it to pop up just a little bit. I like to go from the right to the left. I'm gonna do it into a little bit of a concave shape. When her head is down, when she comes up, it goes straight across. My first section, slight little concave shape. I like to leave the cape open. It just makes it a little bit easier to cut against the skin and cut against the neck. People are always like, oh, why do you do that? There's hair everywhere. They're gonna get hair on them anyway. They're getting a haircut. It's part of it, sorry. It just makes it a lot easier. And also, I get a nice clean line when I do it. Next section. When you're taking your sections, make sure you can see the guide. If you can't see the guide, you've taken too much. Don't try to guess it. If you're trying to rush through it, I've always had to go back. I take my time when I do this. It makes it a lot easier in the long run, especially at the end of the haircut, because then I'm like, oh my God, it's uneven. Now I have to go back and do more work. So take your time. It'll be less work for you in the end. So follow your guide. So my fingers, if you see my fingers, go against the hair like this, pushing it down. That way I get a nice clean line. I love a good clean line. There's nothing better. And the same thing when you're cutting the line as well. Don't rush this. Take your time. Sometimes fun to rush, but it's not it. I promise you. Also, remember that this is the rough. This is not the final. So you will go back in and you will refine. I've been cutting bobs for about 17 years. I've had to refine every single bob. I've established our guide and our perimeter. Now I'm gonna use my fingers to elevate just a little bit. It's not gonna make the bob have graduation. It's gonna actually just make it so I cut to the line and it's gonna pop up with a little bit of volume when I do the blowout, which is gonna make the line look a little bit softer. I don't want this super heavy line, but I do cut blunt, so there's still gonna be a nice line. So just remember that. So I'm just following the guide. Follow that all the way across. Head is still down. Other side, just follow your guide. You're just doing that to the back of the ear, which is right there. And then you're gonna go to the front once you're done with all this. If you followed your guide, you should be in a good spot. I always just kind of check. There's a little piece right there. And then I check the corners just to make sure, and there's a little piece right there, of course. I am not perfect at this, I'm telling you. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm still learning. Next section, clean sections. Do not get sloppy with it. And if it takes you more time, take the time to do it because it will pay off for you in the long run. Because at first when I did this, it took forever. But I'm glad that I took the time to do clean sections because it does make a huge difference with cutting hair as far as the detail. So just making sure everything is nice and clean, and it's already a little off. Like I said, it's good to always check. And now it is perfect. Jen has a lot of hair in this back area right here. It's gonna be pretty heavy, but like I said, with the way that we're cutting it, it's gonna make it a little bit softer, and I'm gonna cut into it a lot. If we would have cut it one length the whole time and not softened it, it'd just be so bulky and heavy. It'd look like a broomstick. We're not going from the broomstick. Jen does not like that. It's just more fun. Detail is in everything. It makes a good haircut turn into an amazing haircut. The detail is what matters most in this haircut. And the people that you cut their hair will notice the difference. Getting to the top, this is probably not gonna meet to the bottom just because I've layered it before. Jen has, you know, texture and stuff like that built into the hair with the bleach, which I love. I've been doing Jen's hair forever and she's always been like blonde. She'll go away from it, but go right back to it. But I love the blonde. It's the best. It's like literally such a good look on her. So now we're getting into the front. Head up just right there and then tilt just a little bit right there. We're basically doing the same thing that we did in the back. I took down that section from the back of the ear to the front of the ear. I'm taking a little section right here, and this is gonna establish the connection. So if you see right there, that is where the guide is to follow to go to the front, right? So now what I'm gonna do is take this, and I think this is like the tricky part for most people is trying to get around this ear. Jen has the perfect ear. She does not have a bigger ear, which comes out more. I don't go with the comb down, tap, 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 go against the natural like that. I pull it down, but I pull it down with very, very little tension. If I do a lot of tension, this area is gonna actually pop up when it dries. You'll have a line, and then you'll have like a little square from the ear popping the hair up. Tension-wise, less tension is always the best. I'm barely even holding it. You can barely even feel it, right? And you just cut across, and then boom. The next section, kind of this, I would do the same. I honestly really wouldn't pull it down as hard, but it's not that big a deal. You've already established your line, but just to be safe, light tension, cut that straight across. In the front, I always have to refine around in this area. This is like refine area for me. If you need to leave it a little bit longer because you're like a little bit scared, or if you want to blow dry it straight with it longer and then cut it, it's also another great option. Last section, and that is your bob from back to the front. So for some reason, my right side is always the longer side. Let's see if we can get lucky here and make it even. Same thing, head straight up, a little bit of a tilt, take a little piece from the front, pull it back to the guide, make sure you get this all nice and combed out. Boom, now you got that to connect. Light tension, make sure you get that all combed out as well. Cut straight across. And if you wanted to add it, like have it like longer in the front, you would just angle it down more like that with your hands like that. And then just come into the last two sections of the front, light tension, boom. Done with that, come into the end. So everything's just nice and full. Now we're gonna do the face frame. This is the tricky part, just like how we did when we were doing the sectioning as far as the perimeter. You're gonna take two in the front, you're gonna keep that one in the back, and you're gonna do a little triangle section to establish your guide and the length. We're not gonna cut it much. She likes these on the longer. We're just trying to get them strong again because they were a little on the weaker side. But look how like they're getting so much stronger. Now they're getting good though, Jen. Looks good. Yeah. So this is gonna be the guide. That much, about like a little bit. an inch. The first section, I'm gonna take from the back of the ear, over direct it forward towards me. Why I'm doing that, I say this in most videos when you see me do it in face frame. What happens is it's gonna cascade back and you're gonna have this nice soft face frame. I also wanna keep it full. So I don't wanna cut straight across and take out all this weight, which if I did that, if I cut this straight across, right there's your guide right there. If I cut that straight across, look at all that weight I'm taking out. I want this to be full. So what I'm gonna do, instead of cutting straight across, cutting more like towards me. You see like how like it leaves that on the longer. Pull the rest of it forward to see if it even needs to connect, because it might not. Make sure this is all nice and good, combed out. Now you have your face frame in the front and you have it still long. Right there. Next section, this is the trickier part. Over direct everything forward, but instead of cutting it forward like that, you're gonna flip it. There's your guide. And instead of cutting that straight across, what you're gonna do is you're gonna kind of just like carve this out lightly. And then pull the rest of it. Probably won't connect, but that's okay. Take your time with this too. This is not a rushing technique, because you really cannot, you can really do some damage with the face frame sometimes. So you just gotta really take your time with it and make sure you're just doing it through. Now you got a nice little face frame, boom. And that's what it should look like, short to long. We've established everything, the perimeter and the face frame. I don't do the layers wet. I like to cut them with thinning shears to soften everything as we go. Blunt or point cut, it just wouldn't be the same. Also, I'm not trying to take out too much. Like I want to create shape, but I don't want to take off too much and all of a sudden she has a shag. I play safe a little bit when I'm cutting layers, especially with bobs, because I can see it more. It's just a little bit easier. We're gonna blow dry. I'm gonna cut into it as I go through this with the blow dry rather than coming back after it's all dry, sectioning, clipping, and creasing the hair. I do it as I go when I blow dry, so you'll see how I do it. In my opinion, it helps speed up the process as far as the detail work for the end. Blow dry cream is an amazing blow dry cream. It's super light, heat protectant, shine. I put about that much. I just kind of get it through their hair. We are blow drying her hair just to see everything, also to make sure everything is even. Sometimes it's not. You have to always check. Like I said, this is why I go through and I refine. So what I'll do, go through this and look, it's not even. What you're gonna do is just go straight across and cut all that extra that comes out. We're just going square, so I'm just cutting it straight across. So it's nice to do that. This is the other thing. If you look on this side right here, there's less hair on this side than there is right in here. Visually, this looks a lot denser than this does. Detail wise, I'm gonna use a thinning shear, chip away at it a little bit just to kind of soften it a little bit. And it's just right there, to be honest. These take out 25%. I do not recommend going 60% or anything like that. This is way safer and I love these shears. We saw them on my website. If you have a problem with thinning shears, I get it. You can point cut this if you want. I love thinning shears, it's great, it's more consistent. So I just softened that a little bit. I just took that line, made it nice and even, and then I softened it a little bit just to give it some balance. I didn't want it to have thinness here and then fullness there. It just didn't seem right. For your next section that you're gonna blow dry, the first couple of sections are gonna be straight. You can't curl this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. If you curled this would actually puff out, which would make this have more volume and be more helmety. It's nice that this is actually gonna be more flat and straight, because when I do curl the top parts, it'll lay flat to her head. Jen has a lot of hair back here. We don't want it to look like she has an extended head back there. It's all about the detail. So we're gonna blow dry, a quick little rough. If you guys are a little confused on why I'm blow drying and cutting at the same time, it's a lot faster, in my opinion. For me being a hairdresser in the salon, like it's all about efficiency and being able to get through a client without having to do all these extra steps. Not that I'm trying to speed through them, I'm trying to do things in a way where I can get everything done without having to have my client for 2 hours. If you take your time and do that stuff, I love that for you. But like I said, this is the way that I did it. I have 12 clients a day. It helped me a lot. When you clip their hair, you actually get creases sometimes, and then you have to redo their hair again. This makes it a lot easier to do it as you go. I might be doing the same techniques on a lot of people, but it's not the same. And everyone's hair is gonna be different as far as details. So just remember that. Just make sure everything's nice and even again. Sometimes like cutting that bottom part, that first section isn't always even. But sometimes what I'll do, if I just wanna make sure that this is nice and even, flat iron this straight just to see, make sure everything is nice, because the style is important, but the haircut's more important to me. I felt like a lot of people would come in and that's like literally all they cared about was the style in the end. But I'm like, I gotta get your haircut even. And see, if I would've just left that, Jen would've been unhappy with me and she would've called me and been like, my haircut's uneven, but my style looks great. And that's not what I care about. And that's not what Jen cares about either. Put that first. Can always throw a wave in it later if you need to. Make sure that these lines are nice and even and they're not on the sides, so. Once you get the back even, the sides should add up 100% usually. If you don't have this even, your sides are not gonna be even. So just know that. So if you see it's nice and heavy in here, I am going to soften. And what I'm gonna do is I pull this up, and instead of going straight across like that and pulling that out, I'm just gonna go through almost like I'm point cutting. Cutting into hair is very visual. Make sure that when you're cutting into hair, looking at the hair to see if it actually needs to be cut into. You can create holes, you can cut more layers, you can do all kinds of stuff that you don't want. Remember where you cut into. I already know that I cut into this whole area right here. I'm not gonna bring this into this area and cut into this, because then I'll cut into this more, which I don't need. Take that out. I don't need to go too much into this side. Now we just softened it a little bit, gave it a little detail, and then I can go through and kind of look at it if I need to do more. Now we're good. All right, next section. Now we are on to the layers. Pretty crucial of a point, which you want to get that shape in there for her hair, because you don't want it to be all one length unless that's what you're going for. Same sectioning, 2 in the front, 1 in the back. Starting at the back of the ear, we're gonna round out these layers as we go. What that means is we're just kind of taking out these little corners right here. We're softening them as we go. And you can go as short as you want. It's up to you with the amount of layers you wanna go. With Jen, I'm not going too crazy with the layers. We're just softening as we go. We already softened in here, so this is nice and soft. We're just adding the layers. I remember where I cut into, because I don't wanna cut into it more. Once I get to the top, you're gonna kind of make it a little bit more of like a square shape, right? So that lays nice and soft for her. That's one section. I'm not following this as a guide because I'm not trying to have a traveling guide. I'm just going off of like the round shape that I'm going for. So I just go off these corners basically. So I'm just going like this, cutting that off. So it's a little bit more visual, which can be a little bit more difficult because if you are following a guide, I get it, but I'm not in this point. Like I'm just cutting off. I'm gonna show you guys how I check it. These are all nice and soft in here. The next section, which is on the other side, I'm not cutting into the previous. So right there, I see that little corner, taking that out. If you need to cut into it more, you totally can. So just rounding this out till I get to the top. Now I wanna check this to make sure that this is all balanced and even. So I'm gonna take a little horseshoe, boom. So now that I got that, I'm gonna pull this straight up. Does it add up? Not perfectly, but it's all good. Don't worry, you just go through it and just kind of make sure that it does balance. Make sure that's straight across. And if you need to, if it's very off, you might need to go back in and pull those back out and round them out again. Now that you have that guide right there, basically, you're all good. We're good. I always, like I said, I just kind of go through and just make sure that it's all good before I go back. The Jen has like a little bit of breakage. That's where that little dip came from. I just had to kind of balance that out. So I softened it a little bit in between those and I cut that line kind of straight across. What you're gonna do with the front, you're gonna take a section from the back, all of the front you're gonna take and you're gonna put all straight up. This looks kind of scary, like, oh my God, I gotta cut all that off. You're not gonna go straight across. Remember, we're trying to keep this fuller. So what you're gonna do is go out like a concave shape, making that longer as it goes forward to keep this full in here. Don't worry, it's not gonna take away from the perimeter. That's the shape you should be going for. Shorter in the back, longer in the front. You're creating shape, you're creating softness. You're gonna do the other side, same way that you just did the last side. Pull this straight up, right there. Follow that. And you can check this as well, so don't worry. If it's one side is a little heavier, you can always cut into it a little bit too if you need to. To check 2 sections from both sides, I'm gonna pull this straight up. Little mohawk, right? Almost like if you were doing a roller set. And you're gonna look at it, does it add up? This side's just a little bit on the longer. Boom. Now it's even. Now all the layers add up. You got this even, the layers back here even. These layers are a little bit shorter than these layers to keep this fullness in here. Because if I would have taken that whole piece off straight across, it would have taken out that fullness and she would have had less hair in here and it would have made it look not balanced. Everything across the board looks balanced and she has movement and shape and it makes it look like a balanced haircut because there's nothing worse than an unbalanced haircut in my opinion. We're pretty much done. See all this volume that she has from the haircut, which is great, and that blow dry as well. A little bit of the texture spray, see what the whole shape looks like. You can see it just has like this nice, like kind of like undone wave. It's not tight, it's just nice and loose, which will be great. Looks really good, huh?
I love it.
So this is the end result with Jen's hair. As you remember, we were taking it nice and blunt, 2 inches off, nice little face frame, some movement. Look at all the texture. We used a small boar bristle brush. We used a blow dry cream to prep the hair before the blow dry for the heat protectant and the shine. Some nice volume, a nice little wave that just like soft. We gave this a nice little face frame, which opened her up. And then we added the layers that are shorter in the back and a little bit longer in the front to give that fullness in the front, because some people have more here and less here. So you always got to look at that kind of stuff when you're cutting people's hair. That's everything.